chair or whatever you want.
Okay, you DEC vice chair, is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
However you want.
All right, I hit the button. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, we're live. Hey, that worked.
We've only done this 1,000 times. Like, oh, look,
hey,
it did it again.
Okay, so let's all do the share back thing. I'm gonna drop it into a couple of places, including the new Port Richey chat. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what's the name of the show? Please hold.
There you go. Where are we? What is
Good
this?
morning, everybody. Welcome to hashtag Coffee on the So Local Live Network. Yeah, I'm not Corey Cottrell. That is Corey Cottrell, and that is Kelly Smith joining us today. Kelly is the vice president of the Pasco County Democratic Executive Committee and a community activist, and really big friend of our show. She has been on with us dozens of times, I think, at this point. Like, you're one of our most frequent guests. You're certainly in that club. Thanks for joining us this morning, Kelly.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here.
She took time out from her busy schedule of wanting to kill somebody in her household to join us. And that's what we're doing today. We're having a talk about just whatever comes up. And I think maybe one of the first things we're going to talk about is the Georgia primary last night. Yesterday, which was a disaster because the powers that be in Georgia made it impossible for kept Casey Abrams from being elected to the Senate from that state, and it looks like the shenanigans are not over. A lot of problems with voting polling places, a lot of places with highly Democratic precincts not having voting machines that were working. Exactly the kind of things. By the way, after the Kemp election, there, not Senate, governor. Sorry, I had the wrong race there. There were a lot of information came out that it was not a bug; it was a feature. That Kemp, as the person that was supervising elections in Georgia, had
that he was running in.
Running the election that he was running in had. For years, manipulated the voting system in Georgia with a lot of technical help from the same people. By the way, you can draw a direct link back to the Bush-Gore election in Florida and the people that designed the system for that Florida election. A lot of the same companies were involved. The database for the Georgia elections was kept on a single server in Kennesaw Mountain, Georgia, at a university in a district that is heavily Republican. There have been just tons of voter shenanigans in Georgia, and that appears to be a continuing trend. So we want to talk about how we can counter that when we come up towards November. And Kelly is one of the people that we most trust to come in and talk to us about how that gets countered. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning. So, yeah,
Kelly's got a lot to say.
Yeah, I do. And only one cup of coffee today. So, yeah, I will say, I am finding myself during COVID with an early bedtime, so I did not watch Rachel last night, and I did not get up on a lot of things yet this morning, but I did see the photos and the posts about the lines at voting yesterday in Georgia, and if you don't think that that's a feature designed to make sure people don't vote, then you really are not paying attention. Because absolutely,
this 75-year-old dude is Antifa.
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, both of those things. So,
that's breaking my brain.
Yeah. So, I know that if you are, if you're in Pasco County, if you're paying attention at all, you have heard about vote by mail, and I know a lot of people say, I have no proof that my vote's going to count if vote by mail. The Postal Service loses things. They don't count those. They count those ballots last. There is a whole lot of misinformation out there about vote by mail. So I want to take just a couple minutes to kind of set the record straight on a few things. But I'm going to start that by saying that we have two things going on within the local Democratic Party that speak specifically to vote by mail. One is that we started in February something called the Blue Wave Coalition. And we've modeled it after the Blue Wave Coalition that was started in St. Johns County. And there are dozens of them now throughout the state of Florida. The original Blue Wave Coalition was started because there was a little bit of a progressive rift within their local Democratic Party. I know that a lot of people find that shocking. And so that started as kind of a response to that. I am super proud of our local party chapter because we are far more progressive in general philosophy than I think the Democratic Party as a whole. Which reminds me, that's also something I want to talk about in a minute. So our Blue Wave Coalition is a little bit different because we're not doing it as a separate organization. We're doing that as a framework within our party. And the whole point of the Blue Wave Coalition is to get more people to vote. Because we know that when Democrats vote, Democrats win. And we also know that vote by mail has a far higher percentage of voter engagement than voting in person, whether it's early voting or it's voting at the polls. So we've really been hyper-focused on getting people signed up for vote by mail and getting people to trust vote by mail. Last month, because of COVID, we switched from door knocking to phone calls. Last month, our volunteers made over 8,000 calls.
Fantastic.
It's ridiculously amazing, especially when you find out that really, I think we probably had less than 25 volunteers making those calls. So we do have some really fantastic volunteers right now. Brandy Goyette being one of them. She made almost 2,000 calls just by herself last month. The other thing that's really important to point out is that we have a fantastic supervisor of elections here in Pasco County. We have a supervisor of elections who believes fully and makes sure his staff believes fully and does not accept anyone within his organization believing otherwise, that your right to vote is the most important thing that they can do. And that it is absolutely 100% his responsibility to make sure that every vote counts. So here in Pasco, vote by mail has some features that are available in other counties, but they don't take advantage of. One of them is not only is your vote by mail ballot trackable, but Brian Corley's office utilizes a texting service now where you can sign up and you can get a text when your ballot is sent out, when it is expected to be received by you, and when they have received it back and verified your signature at the supervisor of elections office.
Wonderful.
So you can go in.
Really huge.
Yeah, that's huge because like right now you can go in and say, okay, I want to make sure that you got my ballot, and you can do that yourself. But if you sign up for the texting program, you don't even have to make that effort.
Right.
You just have to recognize, oh, hey, I didn't get a text. I should probably go figure out why.
Right. I probably gave that address to 1,000 people in the last two election cycles. You know, like people would message me, how do I check? How do I check? How do I check? I was posting it every day. Now you can sign up and they automatically know. And I want to tell you why it's extraordinary that Kelly is bragging about our supervisor of elections. He's a Republican. And I had a personal run-in with him around VoteFest that was uncomfortable. And you know, he didn't apologize to me, but he did apologize for opting out of the event. He listened to some bullshit from somebody and decided not to participate. So that got better. But the point is, we have a very good and effect. It's hard for me personally to say we have a great supervisor of elections, but we do. And it was really obvious during the recounts in 2018 that he had his act together. I was up in Hernando County observing, and the difference was pretty stark in his level of preparedness for the recounts. So yeah, we have a great supervisor of elections.
Yeah. And let me do my first of many shameless plugs. This Saturday at 3:00, we are having the first of our virtual lecture series. This is part of phase 2 of the Blue Wave Coalition, is that we're doing a series of voter engagement and education lecture series over the summer. So Brian will be our first guest, and he will be there to talk about vote by mail. So if you go to the Pasco County Democrats Facebook page, you'll see the event. That's the easiest way to find it and sign up for it.
Good deal.
So yeah.
All right. So I want to talk for a minute about I don't want to get too deep into this because we're gonna get rowdy. But I want to talk about Monday's show.
What are you even talking about? I'm not gonna get rowdy because I'm not gonna fucking say shit. That's what's gonna happen.
That's probably a good idea.
That's probably the way to do it.
All right. I want to talk about how to talk to people who are telling you that they're not voting. Like how
Like within my own house this morning.
Hey man, I didn't go there.
Yeah.
I didn't go there. I'll let you talk about that if you want. I'm sure
Good. That's a whole other layer of.
I don't know. Yeah, your mic's a little hot, Corey.
Sorry.
Yeah, turn it all the way down. Just all the way.
In fact, all the way down.
There we go. No, that's fine. So are you having that conversation with people? Are you persuading anybody? How are you persuading people? Because like this is my takeaway from the conversation on Monday. I went and looked for a lot of data. I had a long conversation with Corey about this, that they're not wrong when they, people that are far left and young, right? They haven't seen changes that would make them be more likely to vote. They reminded me that the number of black people killed by police did not decrease significantly during the Obama administration. Right. And I think part of that is the tendency to focus on the top race, right. Yep. And not all the races down below. And so it comes to me that talking to these people who haven't been voting or who are not at all excited and are certainly not excited about the presidential race in this cycle is that the county commissioners and the state legislators that are also on the ticket are much more likely to hold your local police accountable than the president.
Yeah.
That we Absolutely. Need to be talking about, why have not any of the members individually of our local board of county commissioners made a statement that they're going to institute a set of inquiries of the sheriff to hold him accountable to make sure that our sheriff's office isn't doing these heinous things we're seeing elsewhere. And by the way, I kind of think they are, right? Yeah. Why isn't our sheriff who is elected being held accountable for making changes? That they're so focused on what's happening at the presidential level, right, that their particular candidate is not the nominee for that race, so they're hands off the wheel and opting out.
Right.
Kelly's gonna go yell at people.
No, I'm not yelling at people. The dog opened the door, so I was closing the door.
But so it seems to me that talking to them about local races is going to be more effective than national races, and I don't think they realize how much more effect local races have on their lives day to day than the presidential race does. So. Despite the fact that we have a toxic dumpster fire in the White House, that would be my one reason for voting if I had no other. Talk about some of our local candidates and how we can get them engaged with these folks.
So that I think is really the argument. And that is, again, another reason why we're doing this lecture series for the Blue Wave Coalition over the summer, because I think there is part of the issue is just a disconnect between how the different layers of government work. And who does what? I am a big, anytime I see somebody talk about, they have money for this within the school system, but they don't, like, for example, there was a post yesterday about the sheriff's office requesting a 6% increase in their budget for next year. And somebody commented and said, how are we going to give them 6%, but we can't give teachers a fair salary?
Right.
Well, different buckets.
Right.
Different buckets controlled by different people. The school board does not set technically the revenue rate for the school district. That is set by your state legislators when they set the state budget. Right. And the school board technically has discretion to make changes, but if they make changes to those tax rates, whether they go up or down, they will lose other funding. So going to your school board and saying, you need to bring in more money is not the solution. going to your state legislators and saying, you need to stop the rollback rates so that our school district has enough money to spend is what people need to be doing.
And I expect that's going to get a lot worse next year because of the economic impact of COVID-19 and what we've been seeing the last 6 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, knowing who
yeah.
pulls what lever is important, right? So that
Yes.
conversation about the sheriff's budget, that's a conversation that needs to be taken directly to our board of county commissioners.
Yes.
And so, you know, and I was involved in maybe the same conversation in a different thread, but let's go protest at the county building. No,
Yeah.
let's go into the board of county commissioners meeting and, you know, make them look you in the eye and say no.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Make them,
and not only that, it can't just be, I was really thinking about this last night. It can't just be, no, we don't think the sheriff's office should get more money. It has to be facts to back up the emotions. You have to have that argument, because otherwise they're going to say, oh, you know, those, you know, snowflakes wearing their hearts on their sleeves, you know, oh, well, too bad.
All right. So where would somebody go to look for numbers that would justify not giving the sheriff this budget increase?
So I think, as I'm thinking about kind of how I want to prepare what I plan to say during public comment, because let me also say, and I am not up enough right now on what the actual budget process is to be able to say exactly what step gets taken. I know there are 2 public hearings before they set the tax rate. I believe this is the first step of probably 3 or 4 public hearings to come. My thought process is, in this particular situation especially, what the sheriff's office is asking for additional money for is increased jail capacity.
Didn't they just get a $120 million bond to build the new jail?
Yeah. And I don't know that, I don't think this request is to increase capacity, but rather to increase the number of staff, the things that go along with the increased capacity.
Right.
I would venture to guess that there are some more militaristic toys in that budget, because Sheriff Nacco is, you know, very well known to be a lover of his, you know, SWAT materials.
Right.
You know, if you look at the vehicles that the sheriff's office is buying lately, they're all big SUVs. They're not, you know, the standard police cars.
Right.
And if we take what's going on around the country and that conversation about defunding the police, which, let's all be very clear, nobody's saying you do away with the police department.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The argument is, so much of what our sheriffs are doing do not fall under police activity. They're social work activity.
Right.
They're being called to de-escalate situations, which that I can see falling under police, but they're calling, you know, to basically be a resource for what community services are available. We don't have community services because we don't have any funding in community services.
Right.
So my long answer to your question is, I think what we need to have is look at the sheriff's budget in detail and the history over the last 4 years. And that should be on their website or available through public records request. The same thing with the county budget, which is available on their website. There is an office of the budget. And I think it also is important to look at things like, where has the county been spending this money on other services or not spending this money on other services? What has been the spending trend on elderly and nutrition services, housing, public health, homelessness, job creation? And I think we also need to take a look at the statistics over the last 4 years. Okay, how many more people are being identified as having a substance abuse issue? Is that same number being provided with services
Right.
to address that issue.
Right.
And I would suspect that we can lay out a very clear argument that the way our county commissioners have been spending our money is not working.
Right.
And
all right, Brandy, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Finish the thought.
I just want to say this. This was another part of my conversation with my husband this morning, actually, something we agreed on. I think that as we, as a community, as leaders, as activists, as we learn, it's the Maya Angelou quote. When you know better, you do better.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong in saying, I had this idea and I thought it was going to be a good thing. And this argument was specifically to the 1994 crime bill. I thought it was going to do something positive. Clearly it didn't. And we can see that.
Right.
And so it's okay to say, now I know better, I'm going to do better. And we can hold our county commissioners to that same standard.
I like it. Kelly, Brandy piped up in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we also not fixated on the fact that they promised the sheriff 50% of all new revenue?
Yeah.
Our county commissioners made a deal that they would dedicate 50% of all new revenue into this county to the sheriff's office, not to other law enforcement programs, to the sheriff's office. Half of our new revenue coming into this county goes to the sheriff's office now. And they're still asking for a 6% annual budget increase. That's insane.
It's incredibly insane.
And how that happened is not enough people showed up and used their public speaking 3 minutes at the beginning of the county commission meetings to raise holy hell about it.
Yep.
You know, I'm disappointed. Like when the jail bond thing happened, I remember asking myself, well, why didn't somebody demand that they dedicate 10% of that to homeless services that are not jail related? That would have been $12 million. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make a plan like that. Right. But that's what I expect from leaders. I would have expected one of the county commissioners themselves to say,
yes,
hey, we have a massive homeless problem. Maybe we should dedicate we don't want homeless people in jail. It would have been nice if any of them had said that. Right.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want them in jail. Jail's not the right venue to deal with homelessness. What if, in order to keep them out of your jail, so you have more revenue to take care of the things you need, we take some of that revenue and, that didn't happen either.
So, and let me tell you why that doesn't happen. We don't have leaders at the county commission. We have elected officials.
What?
Yes. Those are very different things. We have elected officials. We need leaders.
So
and
we're
we
working
get
on
that
one.
we get that by electing people to offices that will represent the people and look at what's best in the community, not what's best for their political future.
So we know Brandy is on the ballot now, and she is running against Jack Mariano.
Yes.
Who we do not know. We don't know whether or not this is true, but we've heard he licks doorbells.
I've heard that too. I don't remember where.
I have. More corroboration for our gut feeling here, Corey.
There is no evidence for that whatsoever, but a lot of people do believe it.
People are talking about it. People are talking about it. So talk to us about you. There's somebody new that is running for county commission against Catherine Starkey. By the way, let me point out Catherine Starkey's single tweet about the Black Lives Matter movement and what happened with George Floyd is, and I quote, "Why aren't Philly police stopping people from looting that Target store?"
Yes.
Wasn't even a local tweet.
Which she tweeted from Connecticut.
Oh my God.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot closer to Philadelphia, so no wonder she was concerned about them.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, maybe the thugs will come get me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're in a global pandemic, but she's in Connecticut tweeting about the Philadelphia Target being
That checks
looted.
out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's,
I mean,
again.
Well, the good news is she has an opponent. She has an opponent. Now.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
talk to us about her opponent.
Yes. So Jessica Stimpian has pre-filed, and I'm going to pull up the email that she sent me yesterday. Part of the unfortunate thing here is that she pre-filed on Monday. She has everything set up. She's clearly going to have to qualify by paying the fee because even if the opportunity to qualify by petition hadn't already passed, it would have been not possible in 5 days. So the filing fee is, I'm sure Brandy can tell us in the chat, but it's, just shy of $6,000, I believe, which is
Right.
incredible.
Unfortunately,
there's
it's more than state legislators have to pay.
By a lot.
Yeah.
And that's because county commissioners make a lot of money. Like, let me just take a little segue here.
Yeah, please do.
County commissioners are technically a part-time position that make $90,000 a year. Our state legislators, also technically a part-time position, but required to be in Tallahassee 5 days a week for 60 days out of the year and make like $32,000.
That's crazy. So nobody could afford to quit their job and become a state legislator.
No, like I was devastated that I lost the special election,
right.
But I was also pretty damn happy because I had no idea how my family was going to pull that off.
Right.
Wow, that was going to be a huge problem for us.
The number for county commissioners is $5,377.
Okay. All right. For some reason I was thinking it was 5.9, but yes, 5.3. So Jessica has filed. She is all set up. She expects to have everything in place by Friday at noon when qualifying ends. There is a way to make a donation to her campaign right now. And that is by emailing her at jessdistrict3@gmail.com and letting her know that you would like to drop off a check. Unfortunately, setting up any other ActBlue, PayPal kinds of things takes 7 to 10 business days. But as soon as that information is available, we'll have her on the Pasco Democrats candidate page like we have our other candidates.
Good. We definitely want to have her on the show. We wanted to come talk to us about this race and why she's in it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's cool. That's a good thing. All right.
That is a good thing.
Oh, damn it. It left my head again. Oh, okay. I know what it is. All right. But this, I'm going to set the table for like a new kind of discussion here.
Okay.
Or a new part of the discussion. Defund the police.
Yes.
All right. So the first thing that's happened is there's a whole lot of backlash about the name defund the police. All right. And I have maybe an interesting take on this that I want to talk over with you guys. I remember when I found out about Black Lives Matter, that I was like, well, they didn't think that through, naming it because the first thing that happens, everybody goes, all lives matter.
Right.
Like I knew immediately that was going to happen, and it did. But they'll tell you, and I firmly believe this now, that was important because we had to have uncomfortable conversations. It forced all the rest of us into a conversation about what that meant, right? That it doesn't mean Black Lives Matter more, but it doesn't mean Black lives are the only lives that matter. It just means Black Lives Matter. And the fact that so many of us just knee-jerked with all lives matter. My brown friends report, my red friends report, my green friends, that conversation had to happen before we could begin to, first of all, ourselves see that they were being uncounted, that they were being treated differently, and we would have to account for it, or we'd have to prove it true or false. It's absolutely true, and we all know it now that Black lives don't matter in this way. There would have been no investigation of Trayvon Martin's death had hundreds of people not showed up in Sanford and protested. There would have been no charges against the people in Georgia that killed the young jogger if we had not seen that video, right? So until there's a public uproar, there's not even an investigation of most of these killings of African Americans. So Black lives don't matter in that context. And now we're seeing, so I have an idea that defund the police is exactly the right thing to call this.
I love that.
Because we're going to get
that.
And it's tiring and it's exhausting when people don't get it or they refuse to get it or whatever's going on. But the other thing that Black Lives Matter has served to show me, like I know when I go through a parking lot, if I see giant rebel flags hanging off the back of your pickup truck, I don't want to talk to you. Right. I know already. I know already why you're flying that flag. I know why you think you're flying that flag. I know what it means to people that see that flag. So I don't have to talk to you. Similarly, I've been posting Black Lives Matter on my Facebook wall every day for like a week now. Guess what? Unfriend. You know,
legit.
I don't have to explain like this much time all the explanations for the term Black Lives Matter are out there for you to look at. You can go to blacklivesmatter.com and read their mission statement. And surprise, it doesn't say kill Whitey, kill Whitey, kill Whitey
anymore. They took that down.
See what I mean, though? Like, if you don't know by now why all lives matter is the wrong answer, then I can't help you. You don't want to know, or you're hiding from it, or you have so little interest in the people of color in your community that you just don't give a fuck. Excuse my language, but that's the truth of it.
For sure, excuse his language now after 4 years.
I mean, there might be people we don't know watching. That's a thing that could happen
for the first time.
Yeah. Caitlin was very happy the other day that we gave her permission to swear on the show. She's like, all right.
Yeah. Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah.
Fucking folks, God damn it.
It's fucking nasty out here. So anyway, I think that I'm not going to get on anybody's case about calling this defund the police, because frankly, I want to have that conversation with you about, would you think that means that just all the police one day are going to call in and go away? I've already seen people posting like nightmare scenarios, oh, your child is raped and you call the police and nobody comes in. No, that's not what it means. So I get to have that conversation now with people that are going to post that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because like Rio went immediately to, oh my God, this is terrible branding. My conservative co-host on the Moving Forward podcast, and now granted, like he's never Trumper, like conservative ivory tower, so he's going to see everything as sort of a gestalt poli-sci problem, right? Not necessarily as this being a function for activism. So, and I think you're right. And I mean, really, you could draw a straight line. The people that are like, oh my God, the fucking libtards are going to get rid of the police. Like, okay, well, because you're right. Like, A, they don't know, and B, they haven't looked. Because like it's not rocket science to go like, what do they mean by that, right? Because that like my first reaction is like, how the fuck do you do that? That's interesting. And you go look, and you find out that they want to basically reallocate funding to community services as opposed to militarized police, but that doesn't fit on a bumper sticker, right? And it also like it doesn't kind of get your shackles up, which and maybe you're right, because I think that if it's a really really easy way to identify the people who aren't on your side.
Back. It like it's funny because the defund the police thing makes perfect sense to me, because for as long as I've been paying close attention to the homeless problem in our county, I'm making an argument that's going to save our county money in the long run. And I thought once I make that argument, conservatives are going to be like, wow, we should totally do housing first. That's not what happened at all. So it was never about saving money. It was about being afraid of people, right? It's about who they're afraid of. And, when we say, like when we were just talking about reallocating money into social services, the first point of contact with a homeless person who's having a crisis day should not be the sheriff's office. The most expensive kind of care that a homeless person can receive is emergency medical care. So if we get them off the street and we put them in houses, even if that costs us money, it's going to cost us less than all the medical care and emergency police services that are poured onto the homeless throughout the year. So over a 10-year period, moving people into homes that are tax liened or zombie homes, basically they've been taken by the county, owned by the county because of the tax lien problem. If we started giving a CO on those houses and putting people in them, we would literally save money over 10 years. It would cost us less to house people than it does to leave them on the street, right? So anytime, if you think that this is a lie about what's happening here, go to any meeting where they discuss putting a homeless shelter in a community. People are terrified of the homeless. They're terrified of the homeless. They're viscerally afraid of what's happening here. Like, so what they think now in this conversation is there's 10 million little cartoon bandits hiding in the hedges waiting for the cops to go off duty, and they're going to run in there and steal your garden hose. That's kind of what they must think is going on here. And it doesn't mean completely being without police, of course not yet. But we should be on our way there. Wouldn't it be nice, ideally, to live in a place where nobody was homeless? Wouldn't it be nice to be ideally in a place where we didn't need the police? We're only going to get there if we start changing the way we treat the underlying problems that lead to crime, the underlying problems that lead to poverty and homelessness. And the way we treat that is to pour money on those problems and not count on the police to do that work for us. They shouldn't have to.
And, I'm sure you've heard this too. Police officers, I'm going to say this, I'm not going to say this right in a way that makes anybody sound good. Police officers don't want to be social workers.
No.
So they're
Right.
asked to do things that they are not trained or equipped or some even interested in doing what's asked of them in that job.
Yeah, there are maybe 8 police officers in our sheriff's office that are trained specifically to respond to domestic violence calls.
Yeah.
It used to be 2. That
Yeah.
means in the entire county on a Saturday night, which might have 10 domestic violence calls, there were only 2 police officers that were trained specifically to respond to those calls. It's about 8 now, but our population's gone up quite a bit. So we're not sending people who are qualified into a situation where they need special qualification.
Yeah. No, and
the
I know
the stories that both victims and perpetrators tell me about what happens when they interact with the police are not encouraging.
No.
I had one that told me that she got kicked out of her house by the husband, who stayed inside with the child, who was 2. So she's out on the front porch in very little because they were having a fight while she was standing around in underwear. So now the neighbors are out watching, and she's on the front porch, and she calls 911, and the police come, and she's saying, I need you to make sure that the baby is safe inside. And they said, well, possession is 9/10 of the law. What the? Yeah, that's a thing that actually happened. Yeah.
Of course it did.
And meanwhile, we once, it's no secret that we've had to call for assistance with our children on occasion.
Right.
One time was when our then he was 9, was unsafe and refused to come in off of the roof of the second, the roof of our first story that
I know
he accessed through his bedroom window. And we knew enough to request a crisis intervention trained officer, but they couldn't get there in time. So the officer that showed up thought she was going to pepper spray my 9-year-old off the roof.
Somebody saw Police Academy too many times.
Oh, man. And
Wow.
you could just imagine what it's like in predominantly Black communities where there's that dichotomy set up where they're the enemy, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, yeah.
It just, I keep sort of trying to as much as I can, knowing that I'm going to fail, understand what it's like to sort of live under that kind of policing. And I still don't, but it's like I firmly believe that everything that they're doing and everything that they're fighting for and why they won't let this go ever, and I hope they don't, is perfectly justified. Like perfectly.
Absolutely.
Let's start with our sheriff's office motto: we fight as one.
Right? Well, it's like the New York thing. Like, we're going to win this battle against New York. Like,
You are New York, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's your job exactly?
Yeah. Protecting the status quo is the apparent answer to that. And I don't want that to be true. I don't want radical, crazy people to be right, but they are in this regard. And policing that comes down on a community instead of from within a community, that's a problem, we know. And I'm learning a lot this week about things that we think work or will work that we've been fighting for that are not effective. Body cams have not reduced the number of dead Black Americans at the hands of police. It hasn't happened. There's no statistical data that says that every cop wearing their body cam turned on all the time is going to reduce the number of dead Black people at the hands of police. Why is that true? Because there's an underlying issue that they're not looking at. They're trying to band-aid solution things that needs big structural change. And that's why the Minneapolis approach of just disbanding the police and rebuilding it from the ground up is probably going to have a better outfit. And it's not unprecedented. Camden, New Jersey did this, and it's changed everything in the city of Camden, which had a higher murder rate than El Salvador for several years.
Yeah, the partial defunding. Like, say you want to cut the police force by 50% to try to change the culture, is going to shoot you in the face, because basically every union in the country has one main rule, which is first in, last out. So if you cut the funding, only the old guys there, like Chauvin, are going to be left. And again, not to say that they're all terrible, but like when you're embedded in that culture for a long time, because again, it was 2 guys that were 4 days new in the police force that finally spoke up and tried to get Chauvin to stop, and he wouldn't. Right. So and
he was their training officer.
Right. Exactly.
And therein lies the problem.
Dismantling it completely is Like and again, like you need to reform it. Obviously, we're not going to live in a world where police don't exist. That's kind of ridiculous. Unless somebody can show me a better model that will actually work. I haven't seen it yet. So you do that, but I kind of like it for the fact that it's going to put police unions on notice, right? Like
Right.
you're going to work with us on this, or we're going to fucking nuke your whole organization.
Right. Make you irrelevant. Right.
Right, exactly. Like this is going to be a partnership where we work together, where you're actually doing the work for the community, not against the community, or we're just going to get rid of you completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
And by the way,
completely
as a pro union person, like a lot of union negotiation experts have told me, police unions are not like labor unions
Yeah.
in any
No.
way. They are a guardian protective organization for abuse, and have been proven so over and over and over again. And we got this seminar type education thing going around the country called Killology, which is a group of police officers that lecture other cops on how to kill with impunity. That's a real thing. And it counts as continuing education training for law enforcement officers. I'll link you to some information about that.
That is horrifying.
Oh yeah, there's actually a specific Supreme Court case on which you can. This is why police officers get off when they are charged. And by the way, only 1% of officers that kill someone illegally are ever even charged or put on trial, and they all get off. And there's a specific Supreme Court case, and they teach police unions pay to have people come and teach officers and leaders in law enforcement organizations how to work that case, how to specifically protect your officers from being held accountable for killing people, because it saves money. Like that's the thing. The whole thing with what happened in Buffalo the other day, we were told first that the 57 members of the ERT team walked off the job in support of the 2 that had been charged. That's actually not what happened. The police union said, we're not going to defend the ERT anymore. Right? So all of those cops found out that day that if they push an old man and he fractures his fucking skull on the sidewalk, they're going to have to hire a lawyer themselves, that the police union isn't going to do that for them.
Wow.
See the difference there?
Well, and that's the union totally flexing its power too.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
brutal. But here's the thing though. That 75-year-old was a provocateur that was using his phone to scan the police communication stuff and then black it out.
Yeah, the president of the United States retweeted that.
Yeah.
No, he tweeted that, period, Greg.
Yeah.
He wrote those words.
No, wait.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait.
It
But
wasn't a retweet.
He didn't have that idea himself, though.
Oh no! His new propaganda news thing, ANN did or whatever. But still, like
I can't feature him formulating anything that complicated.
No.
That's a solid point. Okay, I'll leave that.
So yeah. All right. So defund the police. Roll up your sleeves. The name is the name. Let's have some difficult conversations about it. And by the way,
my new reaction is, if you don't like defund the police, cool. I'm going to dismantle the fuck out of it. Now what?
There you go. Would you rather?
We had to choose between 2. Defund one out.
Yeah. Don't fuck with.
Well, and I have heard the people that believe in this movement referred to as abolitionists, which I think is also not an accidental choice of words.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You should probably think that through. What if we shifted it to repeal and replace? Repeal and replace
that might confuse enough people that it would work brilliantly.
Yeah.
So
unlike the other people using it, will actually have a plan to replace it.
So one of the problems that I'm seeing because of this is I'm seeing people I know as Democratic Party activists and progressive activists say, "Oh, it's a stupid name. They should have named it something different." Let's stop doing that. Let's instead, that's the easy thing to do, right? Let's do the hard thing. Let's do the hard thing, which is to say, I understand why you would think that's a bad name, but actually it's going to engender a lot of conversations about this issue that wouldn't have otherwise been had.
Yeah. The only thing that I still wish, or it still frustrates me from a branding perspective, is that the really hardcore people on the other side are going to run with this all through the election cycle.
Yeah.
But also, I don't give a shit. And your argument is 100% valid. And thank you for sharing that, because that is exactly the response that we need to be having. Not just, no, it doesn't mean that, but why does that
Bother you.
bother you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does
Yeah.
that bother you? And well, it doesn't mean what you think it means.
There you go. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's maybe the best approach. I'm so glad I remembered what
Yeah.
the hell I wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Because it turned out to be a good thing.
It's hardcore. And we should get to some comments because there's some awesome comments in here. But one thing I wanted to drop in, that people have been analyzing Trump's tweets lately. And like just in the last week, the number of people coming on his threads to defend him is dropping like a fucking rock thrown into an ocean.
Nice. Good.
So people are starting to get embarrassed. Well, and again, like the Republicans out there now that are getting faced with this tweet about the 75-year-old dude who, again, like they describe him. He's Dan Callahan. Right?
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah. Except I have a feeling Dan Callahan would have fractured somebody's leg on his way down.
Exactly. He would have headbutted somebody on the way down. Right. Like he's that guy, right? And he's the guy who's been peacefully protesting for decades. It's just like just righteously fuck every single one of those people that let that happen. And of course Trump for misreading this. But they keep going, like they went out to Rubio and they went out to all these other people. They're like, hey, can you read this? He's like, turtle, and then like they're running away. Which, and honestly, like it sort of, this has been their strategy every time he does something miraculously stupid. But this time, like I don't know if maybe it's my own desperation because I have that, right? Like I don't know. I'm sure you guys feel that sometimes. It's like this can't be the fucking timeline we're living in, but it feels different right now, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's gonna be some fucking relief.
I saw the other day. You know who I'm voting for? The person that's not tweeting 200 times a day.
Oh, all right.
That's who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
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 Confidence that's gonna blend in the background. Fucking A. Let's do that. Yes, please.
All right. You said you wanted to get some comments. Go for it.
Yeah, Boxer said, what if it's actually true that violent racists are actually drawn to police work because they can indulge their worst selves, get away with it, and be praised and drive new and powerful vehicles? Well, that's fun.
Not going to be surprised.
Yeah.
Apparently, Boxer wants to come for my shittiest pep talk ever crown.
Go on.
Yeah, so Mom said Biden already said he doesn't agree with defunding. I want to touch on that. He basically said, yeah, no, we can't do the defunding thing because he's pushing it back against the branding thing because he knows the voters he actually has to get. In Florida, for example, old people or whatever. But Rio and I did a Biden versus Trump policy platform on criminal justice reform, and when you look into what do they mean by defund the police? It's like, well, cut police budgets and then do this. Biden's whole fucking plan is a Yang level detailed version of what comes after you defund the police.
Right.
Nice.
Like it's really, really good, right? So he's thread the needle by saying, okay, well, I have to come out against this branding and for cause whatever, right? Like it's because he's got to speak in bumper stickers because he's running for president, which is annoying, but that's the world we live in. But yeah, I keep telling everyone, like, if you have a problem with that, go and look at his policy on all this stuff because
Can you tell him that though?
Of all of that stuff. What's that?
Can you tell him that? Because he
Somebody
needs
should tell
to. He needs to like amend his. I don't agree with defunding the police, but if you read my plan,
Somebody should tell Joe that he's in
Yes,
favor of defund the police.
Did you write his plan? Probably
Also,
not.
somebody should tell Joe that shoot them in the leg is not.
It's not good.
It's not the kind of measure that. And by the way,
Yeah, no.
this is the funny thing. I'm finding myself herding cats in some ways. Like people think I'm the crazy radical leftist. Mike Moore specifically thinks that about me. I'm the moderate in the conversation with you, Mike. You're not hearing from the people that want to burn your house down and burn the courthouse down. I'm talking to them, right?
Talking to them and trying to save
I'm not
you.
them, but yeah, I'm excited for their passion, and I'm like, no, let's but yeah, the protest movement that's emerging right now, they don't give a shit about who our county commissioners are.
Nope.
They just want people to stop shooting them in the leg.
Yeah,
that's the fact. They want to stop being beaten by police. So they don't care what the mechanism above the cop on the street level is. That's I think that's the difficult conversation for us between now and November. Is they need to understand that these local elections are going to have an effect on who's out there policing their neighborhoods with a Punisher patch on their uniform. Like we can change that. We can't change the sheriff this go, but we can change enough county commissioners to make it less likely that he gets the funding to enable that kind of policing in our community. And I'm absolutely 100% that he's going to hear about this little show. And and his officers are going to, I know they surveil my social media. They've told me so. They know things I posted within minutes of me posting them. And I hope they come to me and let's have that conversation. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of people out here that if you made a statement, if you made an effort to show that you were addressing the concerns of people that are standing on the corner at 54 and 19 protesting and yelling, fuck the police, you might have a better outcome for your officers. Right. And, if Black Lives Matter manages to change these structural things we're talking about, who benefits is all of us.
Right.
Everyone who's ever had a bad interaction with the police or has a family member who's mentally ill that they might have to worry that if they call the police for a situation, their child gets pepper sprayed off the roof. It makes all of our lives better if police interactions with citizens are curbed, are more or less violent. And if for no other reason, that's why people in my demographic, whiter than white range ought to be in favor of Black Lives Matter. Because it's going to make everyone's lives better. In the same way that when we're reducing toxic masculinity in a batterer intervention program, we're not just making the victims' lives better. We're making these men's lives better, and their sons' lives better, and their brothers' lives better, because they're going to carry that message to others. Hey, gendered name calling is not okay. Hey, cheating on your partner is in fact a form of domestic violence because you're risking their life and yours. Like, we get to have some deeper conversations around that, and it makes their lives better as well as their victims' lives better. And I think that's a pretty good outcome. So, all right, I'm off my my podium for the moment. Yeah,
and that's very similar to my other soapbox of trauma-informed everything, especially education.
Right.
It's not just those kids who have those more traumatic experiences who benefit. Every student benefits from that setup.
Amen, sister. All right, so let's see. How can we, Fred Ader, how can we get people like Caitlin actually to go out and vote for Biden? I don't have an answer to that yet, but I'm working on it. Caitlin is the young lady we had on the show Monday. I'm working on that, Fred, and I'm not the only one working on it. The good news is there are others. and honestly, it's a big petri dish. We don't know what the answer is because we're not of that age. We're not embedded in their lives every day. I have kids that are her age. My kids are vote, but that's because I've been beating that into them since they were small children. Right. So I don't know.
You were beating that into them?
Yes.
But he wasn't pepper spraying it into them.
No.
I haven't used pepper spray yet.
I use less than lethal means. So I'm
Me
good.
too.
Yeah. Actually, both of my girls, I'm proud to say, cast their first presidential ballot for Barack Obama. Both of them. Their first vote was for Barack. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway.
Can I make my other shameless plug real
Absolutely.
quick? This is not one that we talked about before. I hear a lot of people saying that, but it goes back to the first thing. I'm not going to get involved in politics because I'm not going to make a difference. Things aren't going to change, blah, blah, blah. Here in Pasco County, I am speaking to you as a member of the Democratic Party and as the vice chair of the Democratic Party. We want younger people. We want other voices. We want people to come in and be part of the organization and bring the change that they want to see in our community. We have ideas and platforms. We have members who have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, but we are missing that chunk of the population that really is screaming for their voices to be heard. We have an infrastructure that will provide you with that opportunity, and we are welcoming you to join us.
Beautiful. And we have younger candidates now than we ever have.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Even in the early process, we had AJ Arestia run. We have Dan Antonino running against Amber Mariano. We have. I know Brandy doesn't think of herself as young, but she definitely is young facing, right? She speaks very well to the younger, more progressive, more left crowd. And for decades in this county, the truth is the people that ran the party and ran for office were older. And we can the only way to change that is for you to show up and join us in the tent. That's the only way that happens.
You know, John Ford is our chair, and he has said in public many times he intends to be the last white-haired man in charge of the Pasco County DEC.
I think that's a good plan.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good plan. All right, so that's it. We managed to kill a whole hour here on hashtag coffee this morning. I know, that went quick. I could rant for another hour.
Me too.
Well, Kelly, thank you for joining us, and
Yes,
we look forward to having.
absolutely.
Say her name again, please.
Jessica Stimpian.
Jessica Stimpian. We look forward to having her on the show as soon as she can get everything cleared up and be here.
Yep.
It's vital that we focus. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is the way. This is the way. Is I'm the Mandalorian of local politics. We need to focus on these local races because that's who's funding our sheriff's office. Right
Absolutely.
now, we had a real clear illustration this week that if you want to defund the police and have that difficult conversation locally, then the political body that's going to make that determination is our Board of County Commissioners. Yep. And they are all Republicans. Five of five, yep. All Republicans. And one of them tweets about how property should be protected, not people. And none of the rest of them have had shit to say about this whole situation.
5 Republicans, at least 4 of them have a economic status far greater than the average Pasco County resident. Yep. I would venture to say all 5 of them, but at least 4 of them. And the other, interesting thing is that this is supposed to be a year when there's 3 county commissioners up for re-election, but because Mike Wells is resigning to run for property appraiser, there's 4.
Right.
So.
Wow. So we can make a big difference this year. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about, I think Greg and I talked about this, it was off air a little bit, and you just mentioned it now as far as the way being, focusing in on those local races, because again, like I think I'm really sympathetic to the, oh my God, look how fucking stupid shit is, nothing is changing argument. Yeah. I get that. The sad fact is that disengaging could literally allow a demagogue to destroy the country completely, and then everything after that is academic, right? That's sort of my core argument and why I get all riled up about it. But the path of connecting young people with people like Brandy Coit or people like Kelly Smith or people like you, frankly, Greg, and engaging in a hyper localized effort, like you can see change. And if they, if you fail, well, then you see who the real enemy is, and that's never a question again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it sure as fuck isn't Democrats. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also want to just take a quick second to say there are some things that are changing. Like all over America right now, statues to slave owners, colonizers, and straight up Klansmen are getting torn down.
They're just tripping. No, they're just tripping.
Yeah, we're told that
right into the water.
Tripped and fell into the river. We won't know for sure until the talk screen is back. But
it may have been drugs in its system.
Yes. Well, that statue had a troubled past.
Drugs. It did, yes. It did, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I mean those are symbolic changes, right? Those are symbolic changes. But the fact that Black Lives Matter had a protest on the steps of the Brooksville courthouse last week, and they outnumbered the white supremacist counter demonstrators 20-1, is significant. The last time they went up there to raise a ruckus about that Confederate statue on the courthouse lawn, they were literally chased off by armed men with guns, and the Brooksville police did nothing to stop that, right? And this time, a young African-American woman just lit it up. I don't know if you saw the video clip, Kelly, of that young lady.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I gotta share it with you because right. So things are changing. Things are changing, and they're not changing nearly as quickly as we would like them to. But it's a long arc. It's a long arc. I watched Selma the other night, and I had never seen the movie before, and I wanted to be inspired by that movie, but I wasn't. Like I came away feeling he won nothing. That won nothing. But what it did was it showed young people not yet born, that they had to step up, and they certainly are. And all we can do is, my personal philosophy right now is I will stand behind them if they ask me to. I will stand in front of them if they ask me to. Like, I'm taking my lead from people half my age, a third my age. God, that's terrible. But you know, I know where the minefields are locally, right? And so that's kind of where the role I'm falling into now is, you know, I know I said we were going to wrap up, but I'm not done.
Too bad.
This is something I learned.
It's our show. We don't have any producers being like, fucking fish.
Yeah, wrap it up. This is something I want to mention. There are lots of people right now who are motivated to do something, right? And that's valuable, and that's, you know, we should applaud that. However, know your fucking lane. If you are not an African American person, and you want to start a Black Lives Matter rally, I urge you to get input from members of the African American community and support from organizations in our community that have been doing that work for decades. The NAACP, the African American Club of Pasco, CADSI are all organizations that have been involved in civil rights fights in this county for decades. And seeking them out and having their support for your efforts is important, right? We saw an event organized that we were told was a Black Lives Matter event, and it turned out to be an All Lives Matter Jesus rally in which the police were thanked for their service. And I'm sure that made some people feel better, but what it made them feel better about is that what they walked away telling themselves is, we've done enough.
Right.
And that's the wrong message right now. Right. I went to a rally. You went to a rally where the bass player in the house band was wearing a fucking Trump hat.
Yep.
That's the rally you went to. And there were literally All Lives Matter banners showing up around town same day of that event. So it's easy to get co-opted if you don't know who's who in our community. And you can reach out to me on that. Let me tell you this for sure. If you see me post an event, a protest event on my page or on the So Local Live page or on the So Local Pasco page, what I can guarantee you is that the people that are organizing it are either actually from the Black Lives Matter organization, or they are doing so and holding space for Black Lives Matter to step in and take it over. That's if you see those things posted on my page or on, you know, you're buying dolphin safe tuna. If you see those events listed on my page, what's happening there is I'm doing the work of making sure that the motives of the people doing it are according to what Black Lives Matter wants to see in the world. And it's difficult because Black Lives Matter is an organization, but it is also a movement and a belief, right? And so we can all be Black Lives Matter, but we're not really Black Lives Matter, right? We're not necessarily sanctioned, but I feel like my role in this is to make sure and do the back checking that someone's not being co-opted. And that can happen accidentally. You can start out to do a thing with the best of intent, you know, but inviting the sheriff to speak at an event when the sheriff has never made a statement supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement, or you know, has never even that would be the least possible thing, but has not shown that they believe that these are changes worth making. Why would I come to a rally like that? I was at the Trans Lives Matter Day of Remembrance 2 years ago that our friend Denise Johnson organized, and the sheriff, when he spoke, he said, "We understand what you go through because we are often persecuted too." And then Denise made the mistake of handing me the microphone. And I said to the sheriff, "You get to take that uniform off every night. You make a decision every day to put that uniform back on. My trans and gay friends don't have that choice." Right. So he had no understanding. He had no inkling. And to invite him again an opportunity to say something like that, I have deep misgivings. So all I'm saying is be careful. If you want dependably Black Lives Matter facing forward and idealistic protest, the ones that I post on my page are the ones that meet those criteria for me. Your criteria for going may be different. You may feel like, well, if we don't go out to the sheriff's office and have a conversation with them, then how will we know if they're ever going to change it? I would say to you, until they come to you and say, "Hey, we want to institute changes that make the Black Lives Matter people happy. Let's meet and talk about it." Until the sheriff says that, I'm not giving him any slack on this issue. So,
especially because, let's face it, the sheriff's office is fully aware of who the active members of the African American community are in Pasco County.
Right.
They know who to reach out to. They're not doing it. It's not like they need an opportunity or an invitation.
Correct. Correct. They know. Believe me, they know who Dan Callahan is, right? You know, they know who these guys are. And by the way, Dan is going to the thing today at the sheriff's office. And you know, we don't. This is the other thing. Even within a movement of people that are looking for a common goal, we don't always agree on what we should be doing, and that's okay, right? But what I do trust is if Dan goes out there today and finds out it's a shit show, and it was co-opted, he's going to be the very first person that sends us all an email that says so. So,
absolutely.
You know, I trust Dan Callahan in that regard, but not necessarily some of the other people that are involved. So, by the way, Ginny Ruppert, flash announcement: Ginny Ruppert called a racist on a thread yesterday.
What happened there? Why
And
did
that person piped back up in the thread. Well, if you feel that way about me, you should own it instead of hide it. And she was like, okay. So she reposted, hey, I called this person a racist. And then so I reposted it because it was funny. So call racist. Make sure that you check yourself and you know, understand the tone of what you're saying. But I'm all for outing racists. If you put an all lives splatter on your car, tag on your car, and you own a local business, I'm coming for you. I've had to pay a price for being outspoken on these issues. So
yep.
Game on.
I mean, it's maybe it'll all end well because I mean the NFL came out and said, "Hey, remember all that shit we said about Colin Kaepernick? We were just kidding."
Yeah. And they haven't apologized.
Did you hear the whole story behind that though? Why they did that?
Please tell us.
Oh, didn't go ahead.
Their social media team like basically organized that whole player video behind everybody's backs and then had a meeting with Goodell and said, hey, we put this together. What do you think? Because, you know,
like,
you can either
way.
Exactly.
Do you want to be with us or do you want that's fucking brilliant.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the
absolutely.
NASCAR thing is maybe like not only did Bubba Wallace did drivers make the video about Black Lives Matter, but Bubba Wallace yesterday said we need to stop allowing Confederate flags at races. He's the only African American driver in NASCAR at this time. And he made that statement. But what happened next was NASCAR fans lost their fucking minds, right? They really are not cool on this idea. And so I've been saying they made a Dale Earnhardt level right turn into the wall on this. Yes, I went there.
Except my mom, who loves NASCAR, which is still something I will never understand.
Yeah,
it's weird, but at the same time, like more of my mom that likes NASCAR and is like your Confederate flag is a stupid participation trophy, the better, I guess.
All right. Yeah, the only races I ever watch anymore are the restrictor plate races, the Talladega and Daytona.
Oh yeah, I know what that means.
210, 220 miles an hour door to door is that's exciting to watch. It is. Anyway,
okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for our hashtag coffee show today. It was
thank you, Kelly.
Feisty and fun and made much more charming and amenable because Kelly was here to keep us in line. So we love her for that. And hey, anytime you want, an hour of our airtime, you have it. So you just gotta let us know.
You
all right,
got
guys.
Awesome.
We're back. What's today? Wednesday. We're back Friday. We're gonna do a science show Friday, or are we gonna do a?
I mean, like it's sort of like we'll do a science show in this unless history demands that we talk about something else.
I have a good topic. Is pepper spray a chemical weapon?
Yes. Show over.
Because the AG says it's not a chemical.
Yeah, but the Attorney General's a lying piece of shit. Like that's not hard.
I guess he never took organic chemistry because
that guy's like he's almost worse than Trump because he's clearly not stupid and he's just a snivelly fucking liar. Like, it's brutal.
Remember back when we thought he was going to be a strict institutionalist?
No, I never thought that. I never thought that. I heard other people say that, and I'm like, I hope that's true, but I don't fucking believe it.
You got me there. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. We love you guys very much. You can help us out by liking and sharing this video back to your platform, subscribing if you have not already, and donating. You can donate. How do people donate, Corey?
They go to solocal.live/donate. Yep. So that's definitely where you can go. You can actually do like a monthly subscription thing too. Huge thank you to the sponsors that we have that are doing that now. You guys basically keep the lights on around here. One thing I wanted to add that just popped in, I saw Sue's comment about she wants to talk to her daughter about getting the youth vote out. I'm really fascinated with, and I hope everyone else thinks about this and sends me whatever thoughts or ideas they have around it, that really we connect people with people like Kelly Smith and Brandy Goit. And to a lesser extent, Greg, because he's very, very old. because it seems to me that really is doing the thing. Like you guys had the experience. You've got the Kelly, as you were saying, as far as the Democratic Party, we've seen this happen already with young voters. You think about Anthony, that's a great way to get them resources and show them why we're doing this whole party thing in the first place. So yeah, that might be.
I think maybe the thing
idea.
that people are missing is that whether you agree with everything the Democratic Party says or stands for or not, it's an enormously powerful machine to have behind you when you run for office.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of resources there, and a lot of people are rooting for you. I have a feeling that the DEC and people that are involved are more progressive than the rank and file, Democrat registered voter out there. But we're driving the bus, and if you want to help drive the bus, you need to show up and take the lessons at bus driver school.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today.
Right.
I said that 3 times now already. I really mean it this time. We love you guys very much. Sasquatch is real, and bye.